Manchester United are in the middle of something real right now. Not a fantasy, not a rebuild promise that never arrives. Something genuinely real is happening at Old Trafford. And if you have been watching closely, you can feel the momentum shifting in a direction that very few people predicted at the start of this season. Tonight, a single result could move Manchester United to the top of the Premier League points table since Christmas Day. Let that land for a moment. The club that many wrote off, the club that people said was broken beyond quick repair, now sits in a position where one win places them above every other team in terms of points accumulated since the 25th of December. That is not a small detail. That is a statement about what has been built over the last few months under Michael Carrick. Since Christmas Day, the numbers tell a very clear story. Arsenal sit at the top of that since Christmas table with 31 points from 15 games and 3 losses. Manchester United are in second place with 29 points from 14 games and only one loss. Only one loss. No team in the Premier League has been harder to beat during that period. That is the foundation everything else in today's analysis is built on. Now, before we go deeper into everything happening around this club right now, I want to make something very clear to you. The decisions being made this summer on the manager, on transfers, on contract renewals will either build on this momentum or destroy it completely. There is no middle ground. The foundations are strong right now, but foundations alone do not win trophies. If you want to understand every layer of what is happening at Manchester United right now, not just the headlines, but the real picture underneath, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel breaks down the full story so you are never left guessing. Let us go through everything piece by piece, the league position and what it means. It is now clear that the race for Champions League football has reached a critical stage. The situation as it stands places Manchester United in a powerful position compared to their rivals. Chelsea have lost recently, Aston Villa have drawn, and the numbers are stark. A Manchester United win against Leeds would put them 10 points above Chelsea, 6 points above Liverpool and 3 points above Aston Villa in the race for Champions League qualification. These are not marginal gaps. A 10-point advantage over Chelsea with only a handful of games remaining is the kind of lead that changes conversations. It moves Manchester United from hopeful contenders to near certain qualifiers. And that matters far beyond the football itself because Champions League qualification is directly connected to almost every major decision the club needs to make this summer. The reality for the club is that this period since Christmas Day has been their strongest sustained run of form. Only one defeat from 14 games in the league. That level of consistency has quietly reshaped expectations. At the beginning of December, top 4 felt like an ambition. Right now, it feels like a baseline. The manager situation, Carrick, Nagelsmann and the decision ahead. Now let us talk about the management situation because this is where things become genuinely complex. There are 2 names firmly in the conversation for the permanent managerial role at Manchester United, Michael Carrick and Julian Nagelsmann. The situation as reported is that Manchester United are weighing up a choice between these 2 candidates. Both remain firmly in contention as the club looks to define its long-term direction. Importantly, it has been confirmed that top figures at United are fans of Julian Nagelsmann. That detail matters. When senior decision-makers inside a club express admiration for an external candidate, it tells you something about where their long-term vision is pointing. Now, I want to be clear with you because honest analysis matters more than comfortable narratives. The fact that Nagelsmann is admired does not mean Carrick is out of the picture. These are 2 genuinely different profiles and the club is treating this decision seriously. Michael Carrick has done an excellent job. With 7 games remaining in the season, he has put Manchester United in a strong position for Champions League qualification and a possible top 3 finish. Those are facts, not opinions. The evidence suggests his case to remain permanent manager is growing stronger with every result. Pundits from talkSPORT have noted that it is still too early to make a final decision on Carrick's future, but the trajectory is undeniable. Let me break this down for you. What Carrick has achieved is not simply about results, it is about stability. After a period of real turbulence at Old Trafford, he has created a team that is difficult to beat, that is competitive in every game, and that has its best points per game record since Christmas of any team in the league. That is not luck, that is coaching. But here is the honest reality. Julian Nagelsmann is one of the most respected tactical minds in European football. If the club's senior figures are openly expressing admiration for him, it means the board may be thinking about a ceiling that goes beyond what has been achieved so far. They may believe that Champions League football next season requires a manager with Champions League pedigree from day one. This decision will define the club's next 3 to 5 years. It is the most important call they will make this summer. And right now, no final decision has been made. Kobbie Mainoo and the contract situation. Moving on, and this one is important because it touches the future of the squad. Michael Carrick has confirmed publicly that Manchester United are positive Kobbie Mainoo will sign a new contract and stay at Old Trafford. I want to read that exactly as it was stated. Carrick said Manchester United are positive Kobbie Mainoo will sign a new deal to stay at Old Trafford. Now, here is how I see this. Carrick's public confidence on this matter is not accidental. Managers do not speak this openly about contract situations unless there is genuine substance behind the words. The fact that he made this statement publicly suggests that discussions are at an advanced enough stage for him to feel comfortable confirming a positive outlook. Keeping Mainoo is not just important for this season, it is one of the most critical long-term decisions the club makes. He is a young midfielder who has already shown the quality and composure to perform at the highest level. Losing a player of that profile, especially a homegrown one, would be a serious blow to everything being built at Old Trafford. The fact that Carrick is publicly optimistic is genuinely encouraging. Marcus Rashford, the return question now to a situation that carries significant emotional weight for Manchester United supporters. Marcus Rashford and the question of whether he returns to Old Trafford. Former Manchester United player Nicky Butt has spoken on this matter, and his words deserve to be understood carefully. Butt said, and I am reading this directly, that if Rashford comes back, it would be a little golden nugget for Michael Carrick. He went further, saying that one thing about Michael is he will know Rashford as a person and he will know he has got his heart in the right place. But also spoke about Rashford's quality when fully switched on, noting that when Rashford is playing to the top of his ability on the left-hand side, he is really tough to handle. He described him as a top player who has the ability to come back and blow the club away. Let me give you my honest take on this. Nicky Butt is not a random voice in this situation. He has deep knowledge of Manchester United's inner workings and of Marcus Rashford as a person. His framing of a potential return as a golden nugget for Carrick specifically is interesting. It suggests that the personal relationship between Carrick and Rashford could be a genuine factor in any decision. However, I must be accurate with you, Butt did not confirm a return. His language was conditional throughout. Whether or not he comes back, who knows, were his words. This remains a rumour and an open question at this stage. No decision on Rashford's future has been confirmed. The midfield targets Tonali, Ugarte and the swap deal rumour. This is where the summer transfer picture gets genuinely fascinating. Manchester United's midfield situation is one of the most widely discussed topics in English football right now, and there are multiple threads to pull apart carefully. First, the Sandro Tonali situation. It is now clear that Tonali has his admirers within Manchester United. He has been identified as one of the midfield profiles the club is interested in. At the same time, it is important to understand Newcastle United's position. Newcastle are reportedly prepared to listen to offers this summer, but their conditions are strict. Any interested club must declare their intentions early in the transfer window, and they must be prepared to meet a valuation of around £100 million. That is a significant number. £100 million for a single midfielder is a statement of intent that only a handful of clubs globally can match without serious financial restructuring. Now, here is where a rumour enters the picture, and I want to be very clear that this is reported as a possibility, not a confirmed development. There are suggestions that Manchester United could use Manuel Ugarte as part of a swap deal involving Sandro Tonali amid reported Newcastle interest in the Uruguayan midfielder. Now, here is what this really means. The logic of a swap deal involving Ugarte for Tonali is interesting from a financial standpoint. If Newcastle have genuine interest in Ugarte and United want Tonali, a structured exchange reduces the cash component for both clubs. But swap deals of this nature are complex. Player valuations must be agreed, personal terms must be negotiated on both ends, and both players must be open to the moves. At this point, this is a reported possibility, not a confirmed negotiation. What is clear is that Tonali remains one of the most coveted midfielders in English football, with Arsenal, Manchester City and Manchester United all linked to him. Newcastle's firm stance on price and timeline means that only the clubs who move quickly and decisively will have a realistic chance. Beyond Tonali, other midfield names being discussed in connection with Manchester United include Elliot Anderson of Nottingham Forest, who is described as greatly admired but costly, with Manchester City appearing to be the early front-runners. Adam Wharton is mentioned as a dynamic line-breaking passer and probably the most affordable option among the candidates being considered. Additionally, Manchester United have previously shown interest in Brighton's Carlos Baleba through third parties. João Gomes is expected to leave Wolverhampton Wanderers and is on the radar. Matheus Fernandes is also being tracked, with the suggestion that his price could fall if West Ham United are relegated this season. These are multiple options across different price points and profiles. The evidence suggests that Manchester United's recruitment team is casting a wide net in midfield, aware that this is the area of the squad most in need of attention heading into next season. Defensive reinforcement, David Raum moving to the defensive side of the squad. Manchester United are reportedly considering a move for RB Leipzig left-back David Raum as they continue to assess options to strengthen their defensive depth. The German international has emerged as a serious target, with his attacking output and consistency described as making him an attractive profile for the club. Raum is a fullback who contributes significantly in the attacking phase, which aligns with the style of play Carrick has been developing. Here is the part most people are missing. Left-back has been an area of discussion at Manchester United for more than one window now. David Raum represents a profile that offers both defensive reliability and attacking threat. His experience as a German international gives him the pedigree for high-level football. However, I want to be precise. This is described as a consideration, not a completed move or even a formal bid. It is a rumour worth monitoring, but nothing more at this stage. Attacking targets. Morgan Rogers now to an attacking target that has moved beyond the rumour stage in an important way. Manchester United have already made contact with Aston Villa to explore the possibility of signing Morgan Rogers this summer. This is a key detail. Making contact is a concrete action. It separates this from pure speculation. The situation with Rogers is clear. He is reportedly very open to a move to Old Trafford, provided Manchester United qualify for the Champions League next season. That condition is described as a key factor in his decision-making process, as he is eager to take the next step in his career. Let me break this down for you. The Champions League condition Rogers has attached to any potential move is both understandable and revealing. It tells you that Rogers is thinking about his career development seriously. He does not want to move sideways, he wants to move upward. And that means Manchester United's performance in the final weeks of this season directly affects their ability to attract the players they want this summer. Every point matters, not just for the league table, but for the transfer conversations happening behind closed doors right now. Teenage sensation Jeremy Monga, the race for Leicester City's 16-year-old wonderkid Jeremy Monga is intensifying. More than half of the Premier League are reportedly preparing moves for the teenage sensation. Let me give you the details as they stand. Monga made his Premier League debut at just 15 years and 271 days old. He is described as an unpredictable player by youth football expert Jacek Kulig. He possesses lightning-quick feet, exceptional balance and decision-making that goes beyond his age. He operates primarily as a left winger but is capable of playing on the right or as a left midfielder. Manchester United are among the clubs preparing a formal approach for Monga. Arsenal and Manchester City are also readying offers, and the interest extends beyond England, with Real Madrid, Juventus and Borussia Dortmund all reportedly monitoring the situation closely. There is an important financial detail here. European clubs could potentially sign Monga under current compensation regulations for significantly less than an internal English transfer would cost. That makes him an attractive target for overseas clubs as well. Here is how I see this. Jeremy Monga represents exactly the kind of long-term investment that elite clubs must make alongside immediate first-team additions. At 16 years old, his ceiling is completely unknown, but the profiles being described, elite pace, technical quality, versatility across the attack, match the profile of a generational talent. The fact that clubs of Real Madrid's stature are monitoring the situation tells you something about how seriously the wider football world is taking this teenager. For Manchester United specifically, competing in this race demonstrates that the club's recruitment philosophy is operating on multiple timelines simultaneously. They are not just looking at the next season, they are thinking about the next 5 years. Isaak El Mala, the Bundesliga target, now to a name that is beginning to gather serious attention in connection with Manchester United. Isaak El Mala, the 19-year-old winger currently playing for FC Köln in the Bundesliga. The situation surrounding El Mala's future has become genuinely uncertain. Following Köln's 3-1 win over Werder Bremen, El Mala spoke publicly about his future in a way that stopped well short of committing to the club long-term. His words were precise. He said he feels at home at Köln, but that he cannot predict the future. He acknowledged that open and honest talks have taken place with the club's sporting director Thomas Kessler, and that when the time comes, something will be sorted. That language is not the language of a player who is settled and planning to stay. That is the language of someone who knows his future may lie elsewhere and is handling it carefully. In his debut Bundesliga season, El Mala has delivered 11 goals and 4 assists, making him Köln's top scorer and one of the most impressive young attackers in the German top flight. His performances earned him recognition at international level, with Germany's senior manager Julian Nagelsmann including him in the senior squad before he linked up with the under-21s as planned. There is also a significant detail here. El Mala recently split from his longtime agent Martin Carmona, who had strong Premier League connections. A change of representation at this stage of his career is not a neutral event. It often signals that a player is preparing for a major career move. Manchester United's context in relation to El Mala is also important to understand. The club is expecting Marcus Rashford to leave permanently following his loan spell at Barcelona. Jadon Sancho is also likely to depart, with Borussia Dortmund exploring the possibility of bringing him back. Those are two wide attackers potentially leaving. That creates a clear gap in attacking areas that needs to be filled. El Mala's profile fits the type of player Manchester United are now targeting. He is young, productive, operating in one of Europe's top leagues, and his future is genuinely open. Let me give you my honest take on this. 11 goals and 4 assists as a 19-year-old in the Bundesliga is a serious return. That is not a prospect performance. That is a contributing performer at the highest level of German football. The fact that Nagelsmann selected him for the senior Germany squad shows the level of regard he is held in by one of Europe's leading coaches. For Manchester United, who are already expected to lose 2 wide attackers this summer, a player of El Mala's profile and age represents significant value, both immediately and for the long term. However, I want to be precise. Colin's position is that selling El Mala requires careful timing and financial planning. Their vice president has acknowledged publicly that a sale at around €50 million would involve significant tax considerations, meaning the final structure of any deal matters as much as the headline fee. This will not be a simple negotiation. Bruno Fernandes, the captain's future, finally the situation surrounding the club captain. Bruno Fernandes and his future at Manchester United is one of the most consequential decisions the club will navigate this summer. Transfer expert Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Manchester United remain optimistic about retaining Fernandes beyond this summer. His contract is entering its final stages in the coming year, meaning discussions over his future are expected to take place at the end of the season. The situation with Saudi Pro League interest is real and ongoing. Saudi clubs have been monitoring Fernandes for more than a year. The financial packages on offer could be significant given the league's demonstrated ability to attract elite European players. However, sources close to the situation indicate that Fernandes remains focused on competing at the highest level of European football. The Champions League factor appears again here. Qualifying for Europe's premier competition is described as a factor believed to be central to Fernandes' long-term decision. He is 31 years old, still performing at an elite standard, and has expressed a desire to continue playing in major competitions rather than prioritising financial moves at this stage of his career. Fernandes himself has described feeling at home in Manchester in recent interviews. That is a significant emotional statement from a player and captain of this magnitude. Now, here is what this really means. The Bruno Fernandes situation is inseparable from everything else happening at this club. His continued presence is not just about his individual contribution on the pitch, though that contribution is exceptional. It is about leadership, identity, and the signal it sends to every other player in or around this squad. If Fernandes stays, it tells the world that Manchester United remain a destination for elite players who want to compete at the highest level. If he leaves, it would raise serious questions about the club's ambition and their ability to retain their best assets. The evidence suggests that qualifying for the Champions League is the single most important factor in keeping this entire project on track. It affects the manager decision. It affects whether Morgan Rogers makes his move. It affects whether Bruno Fernandes commits his future. Everything connects. Let me bring everything together for you, because the picture that emerges from all of this is a club at a genuinely pivotal moment. On the pitch, Manchester United are producing their strongest sustained form since Christmas. Only 1 defeat from 14 league games, second only to Arsenal in points accumulated during that period. Champions League qualification is within reach and closing in fast. Off the pitch, decisions of enormous consequence are approaching. The permanent manager has not been confirmed. The transfer window is being prepared with targets across every area of the squad. Key players like Bruno Fernandes and Kobbie Mainoo have futures that remain to be formally resolved. The summer ahead will test the quality of the club's decision-making at every level. Get the manager right, get the key transfers right, retain the right players, and this momentum can become something lasting. Get those decisions wrong, and this positive run risks being a temporary uplift rather than a genuine turning point. The evidence on the pitch right now says the foundation is there. What happens in the boardroom and the transfer market over the next few months will determine whether that foundation becomes something truly significant. That is the full picture as it stands right now. If this kind of in-depth breakdown is what you are looking for, make sure you are subscribed to Emma United Analyst so you never miss the complete story behind the headlines. Every development, every rumour separated from confirmed news, every piece of analysis you need to understand what is really happening at Manchester United. Stay informed, stay accurate, and we will see you in the next one.